It was 1946. America was exhaling after World War II. Soldiers were coming home. Factories were shifting back to peace. And the U.S. Mint was striking billions of pennies to fuel a rebounding economy. Ordinary coins. Everyday money. Nothing special, or so everyone thought. But hidden among those ordinary copper cents was a story no one saw coming. The 1946 Lincoln wheat penny looked simple at first glance. Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile on the front. Two wheat stalks embracing the words 1 cent on the back. A design Americans had trusted since 1909. Yet in 1946, something unusual was happening behind mint doors in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. During the war, copper had been critical for ammunition and military equipment. In 1943, pennies were made of steel. By 1944 and 1945, the mint returned to copper using recycled shell casings. But 1946 was a transition year. Equipment was worn. Metal supplies were inconsistent. Mint workers were adjusting dies, presses, and planchets at record speed. That chaos created opportunity. Most 1946 pennies are common. Millions were minted in Philadelphia. Millions more in Denver and San Francisco. In circulated condition, they're worth a few cents. Maybe $1 if preserved nicely. Nothing life-changing. But that's only the surface of the story, because a tiny handful of 1946 pennies were struck under unusual conditions. And these are the coins that make collectors' hearts race. Collectors were shocked when rare 1946 era coins began appearing decades later. Off-center strikes, dramatic double dies, clipped planchets, and even more mysterious, coins struck on leftover experimental or wrong metal planchets. One man, found as in a coffee, can inherited from his grandfather. He almost spent it on a soda. But something felt different. The strike looked slightly doubled around the date. The lettering seemed thicker, almost shadowed. He sent it for grading. The result sent ripples through the hobby. A high-grade 1946 double-die penny, preserved in near-perfect condition, sold for tens of thousands of dollars. Dealers scrambled. Auction rooms buzzed. Suddenly, people were digging through drawers, jars, and forgotten boxes. But that's not even the rarest version. There are documented cases of transitional and wrong planchet errors from the mid-1940s that have commanded astonishing prices. Imagine a 1946 penny accidentally struck on a leftover steel planchet from 1943, or struck on a foreign coin blank. These mistakes are microscopic in number, but when authenticated, they can climb into the stratosphere of value. And this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Condition is everything. A regular 1946 penny in worn condition might buy you a cup of coffee. But a 1946 penny graded MS-67 or higher, blazing red with original mint luster, free from scratches, can sell for thousands. The copper must glow like it just left the press. No brown fading, no dullness, just fiery red brilliance. Now imagine combining that pristine condition with a dramatic mint error. That's when the numbers become almost unbelievable. In elite auctions, extraordinary Lincoln wheat cents have crossed into the realm of $1 million when rarity, error type, and condition collide. While not every 1946 penny reaches that peak, the right combination of factors can transform a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure or even 7-figure phenomenon. But here's what most people don't know. The Denver Mint struck over 315 million pennies in 1946. They carry a small D mint mark beneath the date. San Francisco struck over 198 million, marked with an S. Philadelphia struck hundreds of millions with no mint mark at all. Among these oceans of copper, only a microscopic fraction display the kinds of dramatic minting mistakes that electrify auctions. And what happened next stunned even veteran dealers. A sharply struck 1946 S penny with blazing red surfaces once commanded a price that shocked casual collectors. Why? Because high-grade San Francisco strikes from that era are notoriously difficult to find without spots, stains, or weak detail. The wheat stalks on the reverse must show crisp, separated lines. Lincoln's cheek must be smooth and untouched. The fields must reflect light like polished glass. One tiny carbon spot can slash the value in half. But when everything aligns, bidders fight. There's also the mystery of repunched mint marks. In the 1940s, mint marks were punched by hand into working dies. If a worker misaligned the punch and tried again, Traces of the original punch sometimes remain visible under magnification. To the naked eye, it looks normal. Under 10x magnification, it becomes treasure. Collectors search for doubling around the D or S, tiny shadows, extra curves, unusual thickness. These subtle details can multiply value dramatically. He had saved pennies since childhood, not because he expected riches, but because his father told him copper was honest money. Decades later, while sorting his collection, he noticed a 1946 penny that looked slightly off-center. The rim on one side was thinner. The date leaned toward the edge that he sent it for authentication. The grading company confirmed a significant off-center strike with full visible date and mint mark. The coin sold for thousands. Not quite $1 million, but far beyond its humble face value. And it all started with a second look. Here's where the suspense deepens. There are rumors, still debated, of ultra-rare 1946 pennies struck on experimental compositions or foreign planchets accidentally fed into U.S. presses. If one surfaced in pristine condition, authenticated and verified as unique, its value could explode into $1 million territory overnight. Because collectors pay for stories, they pay for rarity, they pay for impossibility. And 1946 was a year filled with transitional confusion, making the impossible slightly more possible than most people realize. But you must know what to look for. First, check the date carefully. The numbers should be sharp and even. Look for doubling, especially on the 1 and 9. Use a magnifying glass. True double dies show separation in the design itself, not just machine doubling blur. Second, examine the mint mark if present. On 1946 D and 1946 S coins, inspect for repunching. Look for tiny outlines or extra impressions around the letter. Third, study the color. A valuable uncirculated coin should have original red luster. If it's brown or dark, it has oxidized over time. Red-brown is in between. Full red commands the highest premiums. Fourth, inspect the edges and overall strike. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, lamination errors where metal peels slightly, or dramatic die cracks can all increase value if they're genuine and significant. But beware, many coins appear doubled due to machine vibration. That's common and usually adds little value. True doubled dies show distinct, separated lines. If you're unsure, compare your coin to verified examples from trusted grading services, and never clean your coin. Cleaning destroys original surfaces and can erase thousands of dollars in value instantly. That shiny polish might feel satisfying, but to collectors, it's damage. Now imagine this that you're sorting through a jar tonight. Pennies slide across your table. Most are modern zinc, but then you see it. Wheat stalks on the back, 1946 on the front. Maybe a tiny D, maybe an S, maybe no mint mark at all. Your pulse quickens because you know what others don't. You know that while millions were made, only a rare few carry the traits that turn pocket change into treasure. You know that condition, error type, and authenticity can transform a 1-cent coin into a collector's obsession. Dealers are rushing to secure top-grade wheat cents. Auction records continue to climb for exceptional pieces. The market rewards quality and rarity with relentless enthusiasm. And somewhere out there, a 1946 Lincoln wheat penny with extraordinary characteristics is still undiscovered. That it could be sitting in a dresser drawer. That it could be hiding in an old coin album. That it could be mixed into a forgotten inheritance. The difference between 1 cent and a fortune often comes down to knowledge and attention. So take your time. Use magnification. Learn the diagnostics of real errors. Consider professional grading from a respected service if your coin appears exceptional. Documentation and certification unlock serious buyer confidence. Because in the world of rare coins, authentication is power, and every once in a while, a humble wheat penny shatters expectations and reminds us why we search in the first place. Hope, possibility, the electric thrill of discovery. One man's pocket change became a life-changing windfall. Another collector's careful eye turned copper into security. Stories like these fuel the hunt and keep the dream alive for millions of Americans who believe treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's brown, small, and overlooked. The 1946 Lincoln wheat penny is more than a coin. It's a reminder that history lives in our hands. That ordinary objects can carry extraordinary secrets. That the next great discovery might not require a treasure map, just curiosity. And if you look closely enough, learn patiently enough, and refuse to overlook the tiny details others ignore, you might uncover the one example that defies the odds. A simple penny, dated 1947. No mint mark. The kind of coin most people would toss into a jar without a second glance. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, with the right details, this ordinary-looking cent has triggered bidding wars, private deals, and whispers of million-dollar valuations in elite collector circles? We're talking about the 1947 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, struck in Philadelphia. This coin carries no tiny letter beneath the date. No D, no S, just a clean field under 1947. To most Americans, that means nothing. To sharp-eyed collectors, it means everything, because 1947 was a year of transition. The war was over. America was booming. Mints were pushing out coins by the hundreds of millions. Quality control wasn't what it is today. Dies were overused. Planchets were rushed. And hidden among the ocean of ordinary cents, a handful of extraordinary survivors were born. Most 1947 Philadelphia cents are common in circulated grades. You can find worn examples for just a few cents. Even nice, uncirculated coins might sell for $10, $20, maybe $50 depending on condition. In 1947, billions of pennies were struck across all mints. In Philadelphia alone, over 190 million were produced. Most entered circulation immediately. They jingled in pockets, bought newspapers, paid for coffee. They wore down. They darkened. They disappeared. Finding a 1947 no mint mark penny in pristine, untouched, blazing red condition today is like finding a time capsule from post-war America. We're talking about coins graded MS67 red or higher by elite grading services. Coins with razor-sharp wheat stalk lines. Flawless cheek detail on Abraham Lincoln. Luster that still explodes under light like it just left the press yesterday. When one of these near-perfect survivors surfaces, collectors don't blink. They lean in, because registry-set competitors are ruthless. They want the finest known example. They will outbid each other aggressively. And when population reports show only a handful at the very top grade, prices climb fast. One stunning MS67 plus red example of a 1947 Philadelphia wheat penny has sold for thousands of dollars. Not hundreds, thousands. But here's the twist. Condition alone doesn't explain the whispers of $1 million. The real shock comes from rare mint errors and extraordinary varieties tied to the 1947 issue. During production, dies clash. They crack. They double. Sometimes a die is rotated incorrectly. Sometimes a planchet intended for another denomination slips into the press. These accidents are rare. When they happen on a common date, they create something electrifying. A common coin with an uncommon mistake. Imagine discovering a 1947 no mint mark penny struck on an off-metal planchet. Or a dramatic double die with bold, visible separation in the date and lettering. Or a major off-center strike with full date visible. Collectors go wild for these. There have been wheat pennies from the 1940s that, because of dramatic mint errors, have crossed auction blocks for 5 figures, even 6 figures. And when an error is unique or nearly unique, values can escalate toward the territory of $1 million in private transactions. One estate collection reportedly revealed a blazing red 1947 no mint mark penny with an extreme die break running like a lightning bolt across the obverse. Initially dismissed as damage, it was later authenticated as a retained cud from a late-stage die failure. The bidding that followed was fierce, because error collectors understand something casual collectors don't. Rarity within a common date can be more powerful than rarity alone. Now let's talk about color. If you've ever looked closely at Lincoln wheat pennies, you know they come in 3 general color designations: brown, red-brown, and red. Brown coins are the most common. They've oxidized over time. They're darker, still collectible, but not explosive. Red-brown coins retain some original mint luster mixed with toning. Better, copper is reactive. It changes quickly. Preserving a penny in full, blazing red condition for nearly 80 years is incredibly difficult. It requires storage perfection. No humidity, no friction, no fingerprints. When a 1947 no mint mark Lincoln cent appears in MS67 or higher with full red designation, collectors take notice immediately. because population reports might show only a few examples graded at that elite level. And when supply is microscopic and demand is global, prices don't behave rationally. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series, designed by Victor David Brenner, is one of the most beloved in American coinage history. The wheat ears on the reverse. Lincoln's timeless profile. The connection to the greatest generation. Collectors feel nostalgia. Emotion drives bidding. And emotional bidding drives record prices. But here's where things get even more intriguing. Some 1947 no-mint mark pennies exhibit subtle repunched mint mark impressions, except there is no mint mark, because in the 1940s, mint marks were punched into dies by hand for branch mints like Denver and San Francisco. Philadelphia did not use a mint mark, but occasionally, experimental or transitional dies show anomalies, ghost impressions, or die abrasions that mimic faint lettering under magnification. Most are worthless machine marks. But once in a rare moment, a genuine transitional or misprepared die can create a collectible oddity that experts will pay serious money to own. If you believe you found something unusual on your 1947 penny, never clean it, never polish it, never assume it's damage. A single wipe can erase thousands of dollars in potential value. Collectors were shocked when improperly cleaned high-grade wheat pennies lost 80% of their market value overnight. The typical 1947 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny in circulated condition is worth between a few cents and a few dollars depending on where. Uncirculated examples in lower mint state grades might bring $10 to $50. Gem red examples graded MS66 to MS67 can reach into the hundreds or low thousands depending on eye appeal and auction demand. Truly exceptional top population coins with extraordinary eye appeal can push far beyond that in competitive environments. That's where prices can leap into 5 or 6 figures. And in extreme, one-of-a-kind scenarios across the broader wheat penny series, collectors have paid sums approaching $1 million for the right coin. If there is no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. That's correct for this variety. Fifth, inspect for errors. Use a magnifying glass. Look for doubling in the date or the words Liberty and I in God We Trust. Search for cracks, cuds, off-center strikes, or unusual thickness that might suggest an off-metal strike, that a tiny die crack. A subtle doubled ear. An unusual planchet flaw confirmed as mint-made. These are the details that separate pocket change from possibility. Dealers are rushing to secure top-grade wheat pennies as registry competition intensifies year after year. Online auctions have made the market global. A bidder in California can compete instantly with one in Florida or New York. Imagine pulling a 1947 no-mint mark penny from an old coin roll inherited from your grandfather. It looks unusually bright. You send it for grading. Weeks later, the email arrives. MS67 plus red. Suddenly, what you thought was a common cent is drawing 4-figure offers. Then 5. This is not fantasy. It has happened within the wheat penny series before. Quietly. Unexpectedly. Life-changing. The key is knowledge. Know the date. Know the mint mark. Know the condition standards. Know the difference between damage and mint error. And above all, never underestimate a coin just because it looks ordinary. Because the 1947 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat penny teaches a powerful lesson. Rarity isn't always about low mintage. Sometimes it's about survival. Sometimes it's about perfection. Sometimes it's about a mistake that slipped through the cracks of history. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle because he looked twice as so tonight. Before you ignore that jar of old pennies, take a closer look. Check for 1947. Look for no mint mark. Study the color. Search for doubling. Protect anything that looks unusually sharp or red.